Night in Egypt. Moonlight over the Nile. Pharaoh sleeps restlessly. 2 full years has passed since Joseph was forgotten in prison. And in that time, God was silent, but not inactive. One night, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, dreamed. He stood beside the Nile, and from the river came 7 healthy cows, strong, well-fed, and beautiful. They grazed peacefully along the banks. Then suddenly, 7 other cows emerged, thin, diseased, and terrifying. And before Pharaoh could speak, the thin cows devoured the healthy ones, yet remained just as gaunt as before. Pharaoh awoke, troubled, but sleep returned, and with it another dream. 7 full ears of grain grew on one stalk, rich and abundant. Then 7 scorched, thin ears rose up and swallowed the good. Pharaoh awake again, his spirit shaken. Morning came, and Pharaoh summoned every magician and wise man in Egypt, but none could explain what God had showed to Pharaoh. The cupbearer exclaimed, "I remember my fault today," he said. When Pharaoh was angry with his servants, there was a Hebrew in the prison, a young man who interpreted dreams, and everything happened exactly as he said. Pharaoh wasted no time. Joseph was summoned from the dungeon. Pharaoh said, "I have had a dream, and there is no one who can interpret it, but I have heard you can." Joseph answered, "It is not in me. God will give Pharaoh an answer of peace." Pharaoh described the dreams. Joseph listened and then spoke. The dreams are one. The 7 healthy cows and the 7 full ears are 7 years of great abundance. But the 7 thin cows and the scorched ears are 7 years of severe famine. The famine will consume the land so completely that the years of abundance will be forgotten. And the dream was repeated because the matter is firmly decided by God, and God will soon bring it to pass. Joseph said, "Let Pharaoh appoint a wise man to oversee the land. Store grain during the years of plenty, so Egypt may survive the famine." Pharaoh turned to his court. "Can we find anyone like this man, one in whom is the Spirit of God?" Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Since God has shown you all this, there is none so wise as you. You shall be over my house. Only in the throne will I be greater than you." In a single day, the prisoner became ruler. Pharaoh placed his signet ring on Joseph's hand, dressed him in fine linen, set a gold chain around his neck, and all Egypt bowed before him. The 7 years of abundance came just as God had said. Grain was gathered beyond measure, like the sand of the sea. Joseph became a father. He named his first son Manasseh, "For God has made me forget my hardship." His second son he named Ephraim, "For God has made me fruitful in the land of my affliction." Then the famine came not only to Egypt, but to all the earth. People cried out for bread, and Pharaoh said, "Go to Joseph, do whatever he tells you." 10 men traveled from Canaan. Joseph seized them from afar. Far away in Canaan, Jacob's sons were starving, unaware that the brother they had sold as a slave now ruled Egypt. They bowed before Joseph just as he had dreamed years before. Joseph recognized them instantly, but they did not recognize him. He tested them, spoke harshly, accused them, not to punish, but to reveal their hearts. He saw guilt, fear, and finally repentance. When Benjamin stood before him, his full brother, Joseph could barely endure it. Judah stepped forward and offered himself as a slave in Benjamin's place. And in that moment, Joseph knew. Joseph sent everyone out. Only the brothers remained. Then he wept so loudly that the sound echoed through the palace. And Joseph said, "I am Joseph." The brothers were terrified, speechless. But Joseph spoke again, "Do not be distressed. Do not be angry with yourselves for selling me, for God sent me before you to preserve life. There has been famine for 2 years, and 5 more are coming. But God sent me ahead of you to preserve a remnant on the earth and to save your lives by a great deliverance. What you meant for evil, God has turned into salvation." Joseph's story is not about dreams. It is about trust, trusting God in silence, trusting God in suffering, trusting God when the pit becomes a prison, because God never wastes pain. And what he promises, he always fulfills.